Thaddeus McCotter is a Michigan congressman. He was a candidate for the Republican nomination for president himself until he dropped out of the race in September and immediately endorsed Mitt Romney. Congressman McCotter, thank you very much for being with us tonight. We feel honored to have you here.
Oh, thanks for having me. Rachel, I don't know if I was dropped so much as pushed, but that's nitpicking.
Well, when you look at how your candidate is faring tonight, obviously you've got to be happy with what happened in Arizona. But in Michigan, too close to call after he carried the state by 9 points in 2008. The Rick Santorum campaign earlier tonight was saying that they think they already won simply by making the Romney campaign sweat over what ought to be a sure thing for him. Does that too close to call characterization worry you?
Well, I think lightning's going to strike me, but I do agree with the panel. It is too close to call at this point in time. And I think that in his heart of hearts, Senator Santorum wants to win the state. He wants to get delegates. As you know, and the panel knows, Michigan is proportional in terms of our congressional districts. You get 2 per congressional district, you win. And so at the end of the day, there's 2 issues that will be facing whoever comes out of Michigan. What was your overall vote total? And then what was your actual delegate count per the congressional proportional delegate allotment. So I think that in the final analysis, we in Michigan know that we've played a very critical role. Whoever comes out, our responsibility at that point is going to be to try to bind up the wounds of the party, try to unite behind whoever the nominee is, and try to put forward a positive message for the voters on the economy, especially so that they can consider Republicans in November.
Congressman, compare the situation now as we go into March with what it was like in November of last year. And actually November of 2010 even. Let's go back a bit further. It looked to me, and I think most observers out there, that the whole, what I call the Scranton to Oshkosh arc across the Rust Belt was very much vulnerable to a big Republican win in 2012. Now I look at it, I look at your state, something like the 17 to 18 point spread is back again for the president. I look at his UAW reception today, overwhelmingly supportive there. Are you still hopeful that Michigan could go Republican, that states like Wisconsin could go Republican, that the big states in doubt are really still in doubt?
Well, Chris, I'm as hopeful as an Irishman can ever be. But I think that you're making a very good point. I remember back in 2008 when, however loved they were by their own party, the primary contest between now President Obama and Senator Clinton was heartening to Republicans who thought that they were going to make hay out of this in the general. But in the end, the Democratic Party came back together. In the Midwest, which we like to refer to as the manufacturing base, the issue of the economy and the issue of the Republican approach, and in all candor we have to say this, is being problematical if we continue to look backwards as to what happened with the auto industry as opposed to forward with what needs to happen to make it continue to be globally competitive.
So you're sticking to your guns, Congressman?
Well, I support the Second Amendment, yes.
I had to say that because it's in the advertisement. You and I keep doing in all these shows. I keep saying it over and over again.
Where's my royalty check?
I think I deserve to give you one, but thank you.
Congressman, when you were talking there, though, about the Republican position on the auto bailout, obviously that's not as big a deal for Michigan Republican primary voters as those of us outside Michigan would think, looking in at the state. You look at the polling, and Michigan Republicans aren't necessarily overwhelmingly in favor of the auto bailout, despite its successes. But you were supportive of the auto bailout. And I wonder, when you see the president's speech to the UAW today, you see his message based on the success of the auto bailout, you know that your candidate, Mitt Romney, put out that Let Detroit Go Bankrupt op-ed. Do you sometimes think that maybe it'd be better if this nomination, or if the general election fight was about God, guns, and gays, if it was about social issues, because maybe the economic issues might be trouble in states like Michigan for a Republican nominee?
Well, first, even as a social conservative, I believe that the economy is going to be the #1 issue, and that's what the attention of the voters is going to be on. I don't think we should mute our principles in any realm, but I think we should absolutely focus on what is salient to the voters. In terms of the President of the United States, the speech to the UAW, I mean, they're a very supportive group of him. It also goes back to the fact that he picked up from the original bridge loan the president put forward. So I think that any candidate that goes forward has to talk about the economy and has to be able to put forward a message that's going to resonate with the voters, and we can't take any vote for granted.
Congressman Ed Schultz here. The bottom line here on the automobile loan is that jobs were saved, the industry is thriving, and Mitt Romney is out there parceling method on how it was done. Who cares how it was done? A job is a job. An economic turnaround is an economic turnaround. A sale is a sale. Look at what GM is doing now. How does Mitt Romney get around this? How does he turn to the American people and to the wage earners of America, if he is the nominee, and say, you know what, I can do the same thing? Is it about method or is it about jobs?
Well, it's clearly going to be about jobs, and I think that when you look at the Republican field as it currently is constituted and will remain till the nomination is secured, they all have the same position on the auto industry. But it's not simply the auto industry, as you point out. It's about blue-collar jobs, white-collar jobs, non-unionized, unionized jobs across the board, and the deindustrialization of America that would have even hastened had those companies been allowed to seize up, go into bankruptcy, and put hardworking men and women whose money went to the Wall Street bailout high and dry, and we would not be in a position, I would think, as a Republican Party or as a country, if we could sit back, watch communist China rise past us as we kick away the manufacturing base that made us great in this country. And I think that some far-sighted Republicans, not just in Michigan but elsewhere, people like my colleague Paul Ryan that also supported it, understand that it was not simply a dollars and cents issue, which we could make the case actually save the taxpayers money in social spending for the displaced workers and the problems that would have arisen there, but also allows the economy to grow and try to get it moving at this point in time. And eventually, we will have globally competitive auto companies that will again lead the world and provide an economic engine for ourselves and for others.
But what amazes me in all of that, Congressman, is that the Republican Party in unison was ready to say, we don't care about making cars in America, and we don't care what the ripple effect is when it comes to when it comes to plastics, when it comes to rubber, when it comes to glass, all of the things that go into and the trickle-down effect in the suppliers. How could they be so wrong? And now still trying to come out and parcel their words as to why they are against it to this day. How is that going to be a political winner?
Well, I'll grant you that the majority of the opposition to the auto bridge loan came from the Republican Party, but there were some Democrats that were against it too. And I think that when you look at the base Republican voters throughout the country, they do understand that we need to make things. We need to farm. We need to manufacture. We need to have a healthy, vibrant economy. So with the rank and file Republicans, I think they understand it. Now, when you also look at what happened with the bridge loan, as we talked about at the time, President Bush authorized that money to come out of already appropriated funds that were targeted to the Wall Street people who caused the problems in the first place. So to my fellow Republicans, I simply remind them, if you were in Congress at the point in time, or you were President Bush, you could leave all $700 billion of taxpayers' hard-earned money with the Wall Street people. You could take some of it back to Main Street to keep America a balanced, vibrant economy. To me, there was no choice.
Congressman Thaddeus McCotter of Michigan, thank you for your time tonight, sir. And again, as a Romney supporter, even if you are one who disagrees with him on the auto bailout, congratulations on the win tonight in Arizona. We appreciate your time, sir.